Now, President Obama's plan and the prospect of copycat rules around the world dragging stocks down across the US and Asia. But will they have the same effect here? Let's put that question to Cantor's David Buik and what he makes of Obama's broadside. David, very good to see you. Well, what do you make of all this? It does smack a bit of populism, or is it actually something which you think is a proper solution to the problem?
Top of the morning, Rish. John Dawson's absolutely right. This is a reenactment, really, of the Glass-Steagall Act. There's no question of any doubt about it. What is absolutely disgraceful is the level of hot air and drivel that has been spoken about regulation since early April of last year at the G20 meeting here. And absolutely zippo has been delivered because, frankly, it's now impossible to agree regulation on a global basis. So why each country, who've all got perfectly satisfactory central banks, in fact, very good ones, haven't been allowed to get on with it, gracious only knows. Clearly, the Massachusetts winner for the Republicans has really rocked President Obama back on his feet. And I think really it's a question of galvanizing the electorate behind him again. And I think this deed that he did yesterday, or suggestion, is too draconian. I think what was suggested last week in terms of the super tax payable over 10 years was an extremely good idea. And obviously the taxpayer does deserve to get his money back. But we really need to deal with regulation to absolutely encompass and sweep in money funds, finance houses and banks under the one regulatory body, and then start from that premise. I think to try and just deal with this by trying to stop trading and stop banks getting too big without actually giving it enough thought is probably going to be very dangerous. And I think the market will vent its spleen, perhaps not necessarily today, it's only going to be down 25 to 30 points. But over the next few weeks, people will actually see that this is going to damage recovery very badly indeed. And we've already seen banking stocks, particularly the likes of Barclays, come down from about 370p to 285p. And I think we may see, not in the case of Barclays, but the banking sector suffering quite badly in the next few weeks.
David, John, actually, you mentioned John. He wanted to ask you a question as well. He wanted to know what the difference is between the Glass-Steagall Act. How different is it from that, the reforms on the table there in the US?
Well, I think the difference is the Glass-Steagall Act, as I recall it, before 1999, when it was repealed by President Clinton, was that any retail bank was not allowed to indulge itself in any investment banking activity. The Glass-Steagall Act now, as it looks like it's going to be imposed, is there are going to be restrictions. But the restrictions are going to be tantamount to banks actually considering whether it is worth being in both camps. And I suspect it's going to end up with some of the very large operators like JP Morgan Chase, who frankly performed their role pretty well in the course of very difficult circumstances, giving earnest consideration of whether they actually break off their investment banking arm from their retail banking operation. And I think that actually could damage recovery very quickly.